What the is this guy talking about, dude? That thing just had me in his palm of his hand.
Man, thanks. All the glory to God. Like, yep, I'm nothing. I'm a fucking dirty, rotten bug of a sinner, and it's like, bro, I just give you a compliment. Chill out, dude. You know what I'm saying? Guys, what is going on? This is From the Grave Podcast. I am Scott, your host. Today, I brought a good friend of mine onto the pod. He's been on a few times before, Jeremy Plummer. Jeremy and I linked up probably 8 years ago. He had started a nonprofit called Recovery Through Repetition. FDG and Recovery Through Repetition joined forces for a few years. Jeremy does some real cool stuff in the recovery and fitness space. More importantly, we've just been in each other's lives and watched each other go through a lot of shit, a lot of ups and downs. And just always were there as mainstays for one another. So everybody, help me welcome my friend, Mr. Jeremy Plummer.
What's the eternal principle?
Brahman.
Which is?
Well, we call it God, but that personifies it.
I've been loving your episodes, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't realize I was missing it. That chain's fire too.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you. So let me say this, okay?
Say it.
You're a good friend.
Thank you, man.
You know, I mean, it's not like we have been talking on a regular basis or hang out every day, but when I recently dropped that new episode, it's like, dude, you're seemingly like one of the first ones to listen, and I'll get a text in the morning about some content specific way that proves you listened to the whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and you know, I'm just like, dude, he's a good friend because you are like, I feel like you're like the social butterfly of South Florida and Palm Beach. You know everyone, and you somehow show up for everyone in a radical way, dude. I mean, you know, I followed the story. You showed yesterday for seeing Frank's newborn. Then you're in Vegas with Gordon and the boys, showing love and support there. Then you're like, oh, Scott just dropped an episode. I got to listen to that and reach out. So I see the collective. You know, and yeah, you're a good friend, man. You really know how to show up for people.
Thank you for acknowledging that. It's interesting because when I was on the way over here, I was like, what are we going to talk about? Blah, blah, blah. Didn't really think about much. And something that I've been trying to do over the last few years is kind of just like be more intentional. Just like with my life in general. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or whatever the, you know, circumstances are. And kind of to go off what you started with, like we've been friends for a long time now. I think I did my first episode with you. Shit, that had to be 7 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
Back in the apartment in Pompano.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And obviously there's been times throughout these last 7-8 years where we were hanging out more and stuff like that, but we've always stayed in contact. Anytime that I've had something going on to where I need to seek counsel, you're one of the people that I seek counsel from. And you've always shown up for me too, so let me stop right there and say that you're a great friend as well. And I know that like me in a lot of ways, you've kind of like tightened up.
Yeah.
Or...
It's a good way to put it.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like there was a time where I had cast such a wide, and I enjoy being like known as someone who, like, because I'm not a social butterfly, right? There was a time, and I cast that really wide net, and what I found is that I'm just like, it wasn't that good for me in some ways. Because I care about people deeply, and I want to try to give as much as I can. Obviously, we're kind of taught to do that, and I was just getting exhausted, and over time, like, I started to not have as much energy for myself, and like things were suffering, whether it be personally, professionally, you know what I mean? And so I've kind of like tightened up and identified who's doing things, or operating in a way that either I want to gravitate towards, or I'm inspired by, or have admiration for, and try to like lean into that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So like you're saying, wherever I spend my time, it must be valuable to who I am right now.
Exactly.
That's what you mean by intentional.
100%. 100%. And you're one of those people, you know. I really want to stay close to people who are being of service, and whether it be directly or indirectly, as far as like why you're doing the pod. I mean, it serves me. Some of the stuff that you talk about really kind of, it's like part of my morning routine. I do my prayer, I work out, I try to read a book, and I'm huge into podcasts. And yours is in my rotation, right? And so I look forward to it. And there'll be times where maybe I wake up in a funk or just have some type of negative thinking loop going on, and then I'll listen to something that you're talking about, and it completely causes a shift and starts to propel me in a more positive direction. And so it's like you're being of service just by kind of being your authentic self. And that's the other thing, dude, is that I'm trying to get closer to or stay close to people who are enjoying themselves while being themselves, which isn't easy.
When you have that type of intention, you realize how few people are really living in authenticity.
Yeah.
You can spot it.
Yeah. I can feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can feel it. And that certainly doesn't, it's not coming from a place of judgment or anything like that.
It's discernment. It's recognizing. It's like, you know, when you're on the street, you discern this guy either got some good dope or he doesn't got anything. And I'm going to walk towards the one that has something. This guy, there's bunk over there. He's dry.
Right.
It's the same way. It's just
100%.
different arena, right?
Yeah. And just like today's...
And also I'm judging you.
He's not. Today's society doesn't necessarily... make it easy, dude. Where there's a lot of distraction. You know, one of my little mantras or things that I try to keep in mind as I move throughout the world is like, comparison is the thief of joy, right? And it's like, I live a very awesome, beautiful life.
Yeah.
I have my family, you know, we're healthy, my dog, I'm in sunny South Florida. I have wonderful friends, an amazing job. You know, I get to train people. Like, dude, my day to day is
pretty lit,
pretty amazing, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but I can, you know, if I don't use social media correctly and I start looking into things or comparing myself to people who either, it's not real, which is pretty common, right? It's like people like to prop themselves up in a way that, you know, for whatever reason, probably to sell something or make them, you know, who knows. But
and I'm not even sure if we know how to show the struggle.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Or B, they're like 10, 15 years further along in whatever it is that they're doing that has afforded them this beautiful life. And so,
and that's spiritual maturity, is recognizing that. Like how
Sure.
much, because listen, I catch myself hating.
Right, same, dog.
You know what I'm saying? And I'll never throw hate on somebody, but I'll catch it. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, yo, I'm being a hater right now.
Yeah.
And then I'll step back and be like, I have no idea what was under all of this that I'm seeing right now.
Right.
And the hate comes from, and I ran this by my mentor. I was like, dude, I noticed I was like jealous a little bit. Like, I should be doing that, or more importantly, I can do that better.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa. Yeah. And so it's like super important for me. What do you need? The ultras?
No.
All right, good. I was gonna say I'll help you out.
Yeah.
Get you where you need to go.
No. Yeah, they're spinning out.
So yeah, what the hell was I saying? So I see that little piece within me, and I'm like, damn, I'm always like, man, I can't, when I receive hate or dumbass comments on YouTube, I'm like, I can't believe that person would take the time to leave that comment. And then I'm like, oh, wait a second. A little shade of the same thing in you there, Scott, huh? What makes you so different?
Yeah.
Because I didn't get out on a comment. And so I look at that, and that's like, I know that those are clues because I feel like you got 10 years sober, right?
September will be 10, God willing.
September will be 10?
Yeah. How sick.
I thought it's crazy. I
know.
thought you just hit 10.
No. September 27th of 16, so.
Yeah. So
September.
we're both coming up on 10, which is nuts, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, I think that this is where the work sneaks into, is on Instagram, realizing I'm hating a little bit and going, whoa, I really dislike when that comes my way. What the hell is going on within me that I'm having these judgmental, jealous thoughts? You go to your mentor, sponsor, whoever you're learning from and say, yo, I just realized da. And we go, let's look at that. And then we just look at self. And you can follow things down deeply. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the call the longer you stay sober.
Yeah.
Like surface ain't going to cut it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of beauty in that because that really kind of denounces the, like, sobriety can get boring. You know what I mean? Because there's just, I'm sure it could if you stop doing the work.
Yeah.
And it totally makes sense as to maybe people arrive that and then whether they start drinking, whatever ends up happening. Usually it's not good.
Usually it's not good.
But yeah, like staying in the work as the time continues to pass, there's like a lot of different levels that you can reach as far as just self-awareness and then the awareness is just one piece. And then it's like acting in accordance, right? Because I still, even to this day, say somebody says something that I don't like, my gut reaction is to make them feel how they're making me feel. Which that ain't it. You know what I mean? Like, what is that? That's just as immature as what they were doing or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And then even furthermore, like, why did that even hurt me? Is there an element of truth to it? Or like, what's the deal here? Like, why did that? Or do I just not like being disrespected? Or why am I even let someone, get to me like that? It's like you can take it to so many different places. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna relate to that on such a deep level, man. So one of the things I've realized about myself, when I say realized, I mean I was shown by somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
They helped
I just
you.
realized it one day. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
So one of my prevalent fears with all this and this persona is I'm worried that I come off as some like spiritual, superior douchebag. It's like my biggest fear is that people look on this and are like, this guy probably thinks he's the fucking shit. I worry about that so much. Because I'm really just a dork and I just love it. I just like think it's so cool. And I look at it as like a little kid that figured something out. Dude, guess what about this? I'm at Fox. That's just how I operate. My point is somebody said something to me that was hurtful, that embodied that fear. And it wrecked me. Like it shook me to the core. So I went to obviously, my guides or whatever. And the reason why it upset me so much is because I'm scared that it's true. Like I was scared what he was saying was really valid. And it was like, oh no, what if actually they do believe this and it's past my fear? And so I'm saying that to relate. It's like, because if I didn't have that fear, whatever was said to me, I'd be like, yeah, okay. It'd be the same thing if he was like, you know what, dude? You look stupid in red. And I'd be like, okay, I don't give a f***, I care less,
Yeah,
right?
but when it pushes on something that, yeah.
And so it's like, ooh, that's where it pulls me. And like, it's not like you, like, I don't, unless you're a mystical saint, I don't know how you do all this without some form of getting attached to an identity. I think it's just what we do. I'm not going to sit here and I'm some mystical saint and I don't identify with anything but my soul. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
But it's a challenge, It's a challenge to be like, wow, I didn't even see how deep that was in me because I wasn't expecting that comment and it just dysregulated everything about me.
Yeah. I wonder, like, sometimes I wonder if that's like part of the inner child that it hits. And sometimes we attach that Because like that could easily be kind of like summed up into I'm not enough type of deal, right?
Yeah.
And it just kind of identifies itself as this current character, or not character, but version of yourself. Let me say this before I even go any further. I've known you for upwards of 8 years now. You had the same passion for the same stuff since I've known you,
Yeah.
which leads me to believe it's not some superficial fly-by-night type of thing, dude. It's something that you thoroughly enjoy, that you've been passionate about. Your continued efforts in like educating yourself and then relaying the message to the masses through this pod points to that. I mean, you're so passionate that you want to push it out to the world.
Yeah.
And that's like anybody that's great, that's done anything special or important, that's what they do.
Yeah.
And everybody's got haters, bro.
Yeah,
Usually,
yeah.
you know what I mean? You really only,
That's how you
what
know
they say,
you're doing all
you ain't
right.
popping if you don't have
Yeah.
haters or whatever, you know what I mean? But I, in a serious note, I get that, bro. Big time.
It goes back to like, and it is inner child shit, is like, the comment that was made to me, and this was in like real time, person to person, with somebody close to me, is why it stung so much, right?
And those are the ones that can do it sometimes, right?
Precisely.
Yeah.
But honestly, so I was worried that was true, and that's why I freaked out. But it was really just me being like, oh, maybe he doesn't like love me. Maybe he actually doesn't like love me that much, Maybe he doesn't like actually care about me. And it just sends me right back into that young state where that was a truth I was living by on a day-to-day basis at yay high.
Yeah.
And it just developed in me for whatever reason,
One of the downsides of this, and there's been like several, there's been like evolutions or versions of myself throughout these 10 years. So it's like, there was probably times in life where I was either easily like influenced by what I was seeing on social media, just to kind of like circle back to what we were talking about. Like I've been influenced. There's weeks or months where I'm influenced by stuff and maybe acting in a way that's not my authentic self. So it's not like as I sit before you now, I've figured out how to be
Right.
my fucking, this perfect, authentic self walking on water. Like I struggle all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm just, I guess, more aware and trying to make an intentional effort to do better. But even through doing that, I feel like I've become pretty like literal, even in the, even in the way I speak to people, and sometimes I expect the same in return. And so I'm not even like that. I don't receive like jokes very well. I'm always looking for like the hidden truth. And so I'm like looking to hurt myself or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like, it's an interesting thing that I've been noticing. Like I haven't, that's something that I could be better at for sure.
Oh, you're getting called into the abyss, bro.
Yeah,
You're getting called into the abyss.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got to introduce you to a couple of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why they're tapped in.
I mean, I've been doing like this self-love course for like the last, it's a 12-week course, but I went on a retreat with them in Cali in the middle of it. It's just, it's fucking, it just takes all that shit that we're talking about right now, lays it out on the table and say, let's see what we got going on there. And then you realize that there's just versions, there's, shadow work, whatever. There's a ton of parts of myself that I have not learned how to love yet. Mm-hmm. There's versions of myself, how I show up in recovery, even just the last 10 years of my life, like you said, has not been all like rainbows and butterflies. And so it's like, what I've been seeing is I'm halting so much potential and progress in my life by not going into the hurt locker and figuring out like, what is this little scared version? What does he need right now? Like, what is going on? And I'm like, they're showing me. I'm like, damn. I literally said in the class, I'm like, how am I supposed to love something that I hate when he shows up?
Right.
And
They love that, right? They ate that up, huh?
And there it is right there is like, you know, we hear in like recovery, character defects, just get them away. They're so bad. And objectively, it's like, are they bad? Or are they an invitation to where the love is really? And so now don't get me wrong, we got to shore those things up in the beginning because they'll make us desperately unhappy. But I think the longer we're around, it's like we start to look at these as like little portals. You know how you watch Rick and Morty? You know how he sprays something and a portal opens up? That's what I look at it. You know, it's like, oh, that green blotch of whatever, that sucks being there. And it's like, yeah, it does. Or it could lead you into something fantastic, you know?
Yeah. And that's a tough thing, you know. That's my life has become exceedingly comfortable. And I've actually actively, since like the tail end of last year, started to invite like discomfort into my life, mostly through like the fitness space, just hoping that maybe as a result of really suffering in that arena, like there will be some residual that'll carry over into my personal or professional life, like learning how to really dig deep or doing stuff that I don't want to do, you know, when I don't want to do it. And so I know that. And I mean, throughout these 10 years, like I've learned or grown considerably more through like the losses or really challenging times than I ever have through all of the triumphant and wonderful times, you know what I mean? And so I try not to like, certainly not like a woe's me thing or nothing like that, you know what I mean? It's just an interesting part of life. Like obviously I would prefer to be comfortable at all times, but I want to grow too. And you can't really have both. At least I haven't seen too many people that are just like perfectly content and comfortable while simultaneously achieving, you know, all the things that they desire.
Right. I recently stumbled upon this.
And it's not relatable.
Precisely. Now, precisely. So if I was doing this whole thing and I was like, listen, this is the way it is. Fuckers. This is the way it's always going to be. And that's what I've been saying if I've been saying that for 8 years, then I'm a douchebag, right? But if I'm like, yo, I struggle living up to 60%, 90% of what I talk about on a day-to-day basis. So listen, if you want, now it's
That's
relatable.
a great disclaimer, though, for people to hear, dude.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Because isn't the fucking message for the one starting the path so they can see, oh, you got 10 years, but homie, you're saying that, hey, we're still human over here on this side, bro. You can fucking don't worry about it. You're all right.
Yep.
That's what kept me.
Yeah,
you know?
because that guilt and shame of all the things that we did prior to coming into recovery can revisit. Will come back in spades, even while you're 10 or 5-10 years sober, just through different ways. Either thinking that you're not being your authentic self, or maybe you weren't, didn't show up for that person that day like you knew that you should, or there's a million ways as to how you can not feel great about what you got going on. I mean, you don't need drugs and alcohol to do that. That's for sure.
No. Let's unpack this authenticity piece, because I'm fascinated by it, and it's like, what does it mean to be authentic, or to thy own self be true? How do you just do that? You know what I'm saying? Is it like a process that unfolds and has shown you? Is it like a decision you made? Have you had to discover? Like, how does that show up?
I mean, that's a hard to kind of boil down into, a simple statement of any kind, because it's kind of like ever evolving or changing. But for me, it's just like, it could be as simple as, I'm super duper tired. I've had a long day. I've done a bunch of stuff, whether it be, sessions, walking my dog, work stuff. And then somebody asks me to do something, but the people pleaser in me is like, I need to go show up and do that. They don't need me to be there. It was just a simple invitation, whether it be grab lunch or grab dinner. In years past, I would do that. I would begrudgingly get ready, show up there, let them know how much I don't want to be there, and then go
Ruin the
home
time.
and then go home and then not be happy with how I just showed up for someone that wanted to hang out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how I would do that now is just, respectfully decline an invitation and reschedule for a time where maybe it may fit my schedule better or be more in alignment with how I'm feeling in that moment. You know what I mean? I think that's in some ways being more authentic.
And I mean, to support that, that's the process of unlearning.
Yeah.
You had to unlearn that belief. In the beginning, that shit saved my life. Like, I don't give a fuck how you feel. You're going to show up.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's like a culture for that, right? It's like, nobody cares, work harder type of mentality. And don't get me wrong, like that can serve you very well in specific arenas, right? Like sometimes you have to be just relentless in your pursuit of something. And I do get that. But I think that's kind of almost like a separate, that's separate from maybe this version of like being your authentic self.
I 100% agree, because it's like, is that really the way we want to live? Never give up, never eat, never drink water, always work 24 hours, don't sleep, work 29 hours a day.
Yeah.
And they're just like, do you ever see that clip from that dude, that CEO who created Quest Nutrition? And the guy, he's on there and he's like, I've just now manipulated time. And Brett, can you see if you can pull that up? It's
I want to say I actually do know what you're talking about.
It went super viral. Just even if you search on like YouTube or Instagram, like I've manipulated time, this idiot will show up.
And he's
sorry,
like,
dude,
he is convinced.
And I want to believe anything the way that this guy believes he's
convicted.
Manipulated time for his favor.
Yes, I do know what you're talking about. I forget the way that he frames it, but it almost has you thinking like, wow, you're right. And then you have to like, his conviction gets you like pulled into it. And then you maybe like 10 minutes after you listen to it, you're like, wait a minute. What the fuck is this guy talking about, dude? That thing just had me in his palm of his hand.
And that's a good point. It's like, someone speaks persuasively enough with enough conviction, you'll pretty much believe anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of that shit saved my life in the beginning, because I was a selfish and I wouldn't show up for you. So I had to learn I had to be shown how to bleed that piece out of me, show up, and then you kind of titrate back. You're like, oh, now I'm abandoning myself.
Right.
When I need to like be with myself and figure out what I need and all that shit that I thought was really corny but saved my life. I would just go manipulated time. I've said, but yeah, manipulation.
that could come up with a lot of fun stuff.
There it is, that guy right there. Yeah.
So I measure time. I've compressed and condensed time. I've bent it. My day is 6 a.m. to noon, and I'm not crazy. You're crazy for thinking it takes 24 hours, just like some dude in a cave did 300 years ago. My second day starts at noon and goes till 6 p.m. That's day 2. And then the next day is 6 p.m. to midnight. What I've done now is I have changed and manipulated time. I now get 21 days a week. Stack that up over a month, I'm gonna kick your butt. Stack it up over a year, you're toast. Stack it up over 5 years, my entire life is different than it would have been otherwise.
Bro, I've changed and manipulated and bent time into my bitch to kick your butt.
Listen, to be fair, he's the owner or founder of Quest?
No, that's the host is that guy, the one that we're not seeing his reaction. I don't know who he is.
I was going to say, if I was like, I think he sold the Quest bars for hundreds of millions of dollars. If I did that and had all this time in my hands and maybe read a few of the wrong books, I'd probably be talking about how I've now twisted and manipulated time too.
But like the whole thing is like, I'm not, his whole reason to do all that was a statement, I'm now going to kick your butt.
Right.
So it's all to overlord, to succeed, to build this, to have, to, I mean, I'm just, filling in the blanks here, but that's not what I want.
Right.
It's like, we got to live for me being in recovery, what I was shown in the beginning is like, you better start doing things, living in ways and principles that the world doesn't live by in order to stay right with your God. Otherwise, you're screwed. First one we learn, right? If you want to stay alive and have a great life, give up. And so right when we come in the door, it's like, yeah, f you and everything you thought that you knew and how you believe, all that, do it completely opposite.
Right.
And that changed our life for the better. And so there's so many other ways, like, wouldn't that also bleed into business? It's like, well, it better, because I'm not going to be out here being like, I got to fucking, just get a food pouch and like inject food into my stomach so I can work longer.
Yeah.
That's just, I don't know. That's never how I've been.
Yeah, and it's back to like the what it looks like to live authentically. Man down. Uh-oh. Completely. Like what feels good in your spirit?
Right.
There's someone who I love dearly who's kind of going through it right now. Basically kind of like trying to do what just like anybody would do, work really hard at a job that she doesn't even really like. Been doing it for a long ass time. And you mix that with maybe some other things, and before you know it, you're like so far from who you really want to be that you can't even like go out into the world. You don't even want to leave. And that's what happens. That's like, this has been my experience with this person, to the point where they've gotten so far from the things that they enjoy and want to be doing that they can't even like leave anymore. They can't even leave their apartment, and they're, it gets very, very dark. And it's like in pursuit of a societal norm of some sort, maybe, or maybe the pursuit of money. You can, I guess, probably do that in a lot of different, in pursuit of a lot of different things. But I think I've seen people way happier with way less. And that's like that kind of challenges a lot of today's thinking. You know what I mean? Like, it's, less is more type of mentality. It's like abundance. And it's like, abundance of what? What do you want an abundance of? And what are you going to sacrifice in pursuit of that? You might be able to get a lot of money. I've met a lot of people with a lot of money, not very happy, and not behaving as someone, and I've met people who maybe don't have all the money in the world, but are happy as can be, treat their friends and their partner with the utmost respect, and live a life of peace. And it's like, what do you want?
Yeah, the abundance is here, Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, I truly believe that. This is going to sound so corny, but I don't think you can hold on and be a steward of the $1 million until you become $1 million man.
Correct.
So you can, there's plenty of phone rooms you can step in and fucking glitch the system and pull a ton of money into your bank account real quick. Can you hold on to it and use it in a good way? Which is open to interpretation anyways about money. But like my buddy said, one of the most powerful quotes I've ever heard, which is, in regards to money, it's not mine, it's just my turn with it. And when you look at it like that, yeah, you're just like, what am I doing with this value that's passing through my life right now that I get to have an exchange with for a little bit?
And it's like, that's not to say that having a bunch of money, there's nothing wrong with having a bunch of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, shit. I would like to have a bunch of money, so I can travel and experience all that this world has to offer, make sure that my family's good, and, that they don't have to, that isn't like a significant stressor in their life. I don't ever want to enable laziness or anything like that, but I would prefer just the way that, there was times throughout my life where money wasn't, it caused issues and maybe didn't afford us or me the ability to do certain things that I would have liked to do. But if you can, I would love to be able to be of service so much with money, dude.
Yeah, me too.
It would be incredible.
Yeah. I think about that all the time.
You know what I mean? Like, on a grand scale, and really do some...
Like, imagine being able to buy someone a house. Just be like, you can be that person for, not even about being that person, but that can move through you to where, like, you meet someone down on their, like, some undercover boss type shit, you know? And you meet someone, you're like, this is a good person who needs help right now. And you're just like, hey, man, here's $100,000. Like, I'm going to go find you a good home.
Yeah, that would be... Right. And I've and I'm sure that you have too, like experienced much smaller versions of that. And the way that makes me feel outweighs a lot of the things, if not all of the things that I've been able to afford myself materially.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I had the privilege of going to the Philippines last year, and that was an amazing experience. Some of the scenes and different things like that, but
Yeah.
I can get that same feeling by watching someone light up with gratitude. I can feel it right now. It's like it'll fucking move you.
Dude,
That's the stuff. That's the good stuff.
That's the good stuff. And one thing I know for sure is, like, when I'm sitting one-on-one with an individual and, like, I'm coaching them or whatever the case is, in whatever manner that I'm sitting in front of them and trying to help, when you're sitting in front of them and there's that, like, that love and just genuineness kind of emanating from you, and you're just like, I want to package this in a way where this can really, hopefully this can, like, catch them. And then sometimes you see it transpire, or you see them feel the love, and it's a person that's not used to feeling that type of genuine love.
Yeah. It'll be a reaction.
Dude, when
Visible.
that is taking place, I know for sure that that's where I'm supposed to live. And there's nothing, however, like, whatever money or vehicles it takes for that to happen at whatever scale it needs to happen, so be it.
Yeah.
But one thing I know for certain is, like, that's where some purpose is.
And if you think we're bullshitting, like, I challenge you to truly, be a servant to someone. Go out there and serve. And if it doesn't make you feel better or something, it doesn't make you feel something, then I also maybe not challenge, but encourage you to, like, go to therapy or seek help or something, right. Dude. Because I mean, I don't know, man. That's just, it does a lot.
There's something amazing,
and the ripple effect. I mean, there's so many ways. It's just a better way to live.
Yeah,
dude.
I mean, there's something godly that happens when you truly forget about yourself, be it for 30 seconds or an hour when you're feeding, the hungry at a soup kitchen on a Sunday or whatever, But even like for people to realize, once you start to, like, really see, oh, this man sitting in front of me has a whole ass story, a whole ass life behind his eyes, a ton of inner child stuff, a ton of wounds, a ton of joy and pain and relationship stuff, and same worries and fears and insecurities. And when you completely forget about yourself, you see that. And then it's like you're starting to be driven by compassion.
Right.
And
maybe it's easier for people like us who have, and by us I just mean like people in recovery that have been, kind of forced to do some of that work and take a look at some of that stuff. And so you have been to some pretty low lows and significant levels of pain. And now that we're not there, if I see someone that is suffering from something that I can relate to, I almost feel like an obligation to try to do something to help. Because people did that for me too, in different capacities, right? And I still do. And so it's like, I don't know, man. Again, it's almost like that same high that you used to get back before shit was real bad, But
it's valid now, and it builds.
Yeah, except there is zero destruction or anything. There's no negative to it. It's only good.
Right. Right. You're not committing a crime doing it.
Exactly.
Someone catches you loving on someone, you're not going to go to jail.
Yeah.
You get thrown in a paddy wagon.
For real. Yeah,
man.
I heard a quote of something along the lines of, there is no greater life than one that has been, like, dedicated to service or something like that. I have to look it up to verbatim, but it kind of just embodies that, and I believe it to be true.
One of my favorite movies is Peaceful Warrior with Nick Nolte. And it's like a perfect congruent path of, the steps and all that. But long story short, he says to this young punk in the movie, and he's like, the young kid in his ego, he goes, "Hey, old man, like, so much, why do you work at a gas station?" And he goes, "This is a service station. We offer service. There's no higher purpose."
Oof.
And just walks away.
Nice.
And Nick Nolte said it. So you're just like,
Is he got the real raspy, crazy voice?
Yeah. Pain.
I'm almost positive I saw a movie last night that he was in it. which was a good movie too. But
If you want a man that like sounds like pain and is just scraped out with his life,
is he
hire
older
Nick
now? Is he
Nolte.
pretty old now?
Yeah, he's got some age on him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a very unique voice.
But why is that? Why is there no higher purpose than that? I mean, we think of, supposedly, and in every religion, right? You read the Bhagavad Gita. I always struggle saying that, but in that culture, it's all about selfless service, establishing yourself in the being, and then going out and serving the world and others. And Christ, perfect example of how to do it. Completely forget of self for a greater purpose. It's everywhere. So there's something magically innate in the spirit of a human that some type of enlightenment or just radical joy hits us in that moment of self-forgetting, that it becomes a way of life. And so it's like, could they all be wrong?
Right.
You know, like
Right.
was St. Francis lying when he said it's by self-forgetting that one finds and by dying that one awakens to
Yeah,
eternal life?
it's
The
a common
prayer that we've been
denominator in a
saying
lot of
for
things.
10 years, but have you been living it type thing?
Yeah.
And it's like, how many times do I have to hear this stuff in different dialects and languages and religions and states before I go, maybe I should do
Yeah,
it?
they were onto something.
Yeah.
For thousands of
You're
years.
not lying. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's just not it's certainly not like a profitable or like even maybe not always an attractive way to go about things, depending on what lens you're looking through, obviously. But
Yeah.
it's hard to monetize service in the way in which that we're talking about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
And so it's never going to like catch fire, especially in today's day and age. I mean, I guess maybe in some ways, we briefly talked about like social media and on our, before we even started, and how, the way that you use it's pretty good. That's one way I guess you can kind of fan the flame of at least this type of discussion,
True. Yeah.
as long as you don't, obviously people have turned like service-oriented things into cults, and that's usually not good.
Yeah, it's pretty fire. It's wild. Sad. But you know what but we both know this in ourselves, is that, there's heroes out there walking around saving lives on a day-to-day basis, and they'll never be behind a they'll never be behind a podcast mic, they'll never be on social media, they'll never have Facebook, and they're saving lives on the reg. And that's just a beautiful knowing.
Yeah.
For there's every person that has a camera on them, like me, there's 100 bad motherfuckers, way more godly out there doing real work.
The first thing that just popped into my head, and maybe we can get him on the pod at some point, his name's Joey Nieves. He won't mind that I mention his name.
Okay.
He works for a place called The Lord's Place in West Palm Beach, and he is, I believe his title is like the Director of Homeless Outreach.
Lake Worth cat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is the type that you're talking about, where he prefers to not be in the limelight. He will show up, and he's done some pretty high scale like talks for like, I think it was at like Congress or something that was in like, DC. He's done some really cool stuff speaking on behalf of the program that he works for, like in the homeless sector of things.
Yeah.
But he very much prefers to just be in the shadows doing the work in the homeless encampments, out and, like on the ground, boots on the ground, badass MFer that is just fueled off his lived experience and really using that as fuel to try to pull people out from the same depths that he was in.
Yeah.
And he is on fire about it. And he's just relentless but also just so humble and kind and coming from a place of love. It's I've only known him for a couple years, and just watching the way that he moves and does his thing has really kind of made me take a look at like what I'm doing, and it's been cool. He's like you in ways, in the sense of he has some traits that I'm like, I need to get like that.
Dude, and like I love people like that, because when you're humble, like it says, God will exalt you if you're humble and you just commit to your path and in the shadow and doing your thing. You're giving it up to God to say, hey, when you decide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you. But if you're out there like trying to get, whenever I lived that way, I think I just like a tire stuck in mud, and you're just, I can get out for sure. And then just,
Yep.
that's what I feel like happens.
Yeah, making the hole deeper and deeper. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he's been to prison, and so he's just got a, you know, like a lot of us, just a unique life experience that most of which wasn't great, but has found himself in a position to leverage that bad experience in hopes of helping other people. And it's just so beautiful, bro. And I don't know if, I mean, I guess maybe like 12-step stuff helps us do that. You know, because I mean, there's tons of people inside, you know, out of recovery that go through hard stuff. I don't know that, you know, hopefully a lot of them arrive at the fact that they can help somebody else with that experience if they made it through. And how good it feels to use your bad experiences to help somebody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But obviously, like, the work that we do really shines a light on that. Like, oh, you've been through some tough stuff. Let's get through it the right way, and then go help somebody else get through it.
And there's no way, if you genuinely, you know, get through it and there is some semblance of resurrection and okayness that you're walking around, there's no way that you don't want to go help somebody else.
Right.
Because like you just mentioned earlier, like, you see the dude that you used to be and suffering, scared, bound up. And you just, you know, you can approach them. And you're just like, and there's this knowing that you can help. Mm-hmm. Not in an egocentric way, but there's this knowing that you have gone through what they are currently in. There is some type of solution within you, and you can transmit that. Mm-hmm. And that's how lives are saved at the street level. You know, it's as beautiful as it gets. But those prison cats know how to serve, bro.
Oh yeah.
Like Damon West, he was on here, dude. If you do like legit time, they know how to serve.
Yeah. Joey's got that in him, bro. He's hard.
Yeah.
He's someone I wouldn't want to, like, you know, I wouldn't want to be on his bad side, but, you know, fortunately for us, I guess, or for society as a whole, he's freaking just hell-bent on serving.
Yeah.
And pulling people out the gutter.
Shout out Joey, man.
Straight up. Yeah. Good dude, bro.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know him, dude. I'm pretty sure I met him at a couple spots up in Lake Worth.
Yeah.
Here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I don't know. It's interesting, you know, like that's the beauty of this whole thing, and I guess life in general, now that I've removed all of the stuff that didn't need to be in the way, drugs, alcohol, other things, you know, it allows me to continue to explore myself and live in it for a while until it no longer serves me, or whatever the deal is. Serves me in a way as like I'm no longer growing. Yeah. Not like in a taker way necessarily, but like I'm just no longer growing. And then maybe something piques my interest and I go in a different direction. And it's not in the chameleon sense, more just in like the evolution, like I'm
getting open-minded, paying attention, knowing that life's moving through other people. I mean, your buddy Jason Strout was just on last week, and that's like his whole vibe. And I'm like, are you a spiritual guy? And he's like, no, I don't think so. I'm like, I don't know if you know that you're really spiritually lit, but you are.
Bro.
Dude, he's like, I mean, Brett can validate this, dude. He just like, he sits there and he thinks and he talks about his perspective and how he sees life and listens to it and moves through it. I'm like, bro, you're the epitome of like the evolution of life and just listening.
It's so funny you brought him up, because he is someone who lives authentically to a fault. And not to say he doesn't struggle or suffer or anything like that, because let's get that real clear. Even while you're maybe living your most authentic self, you might be inclined to suffer or struggle more than anybody. And so I don't say that to say that he's just like some like walk on water, even though he has long hair, kind of, you know, he has.
The double braids are fire.
He's amazing, bro. Tell me he doesn't have like a presence about him, like an aura. Even when you're sitting with him, you're like, dude, you're the dude.
Dude, he walked into my garage, saw the bag hanging. Hey, he's like, what's up? Starts hitting the bag. We got some cool shit. All right, let's go. And I'm just like, okay, you just alpha me in my home, I think, probably.
Yeah, he's a badass. But he is such an interesting guy. I've got so many stories about him, bro.
I bet, dude.
Just like, he is a unique dude in the best way possible. I'm so glad you sat with him.
Dude, me too. And he was like super cool, like because he was recently on a podcast, and I don't know if you remember, but years ago in RTR, when him and Jared showed up to the gym, it was like my first night meeting him, and we were just talking, and I was like, dude, we gotta have you guys, like him and Jared on the podcast, and it just never, and that was like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even more. So like we talked about that, but it like rolled into something where he was really, there was so much perspective to talk about, like from that time.
Yeah.
Almost like it wasn't even meant to happen right there, you know?
That's cool. Yeah, him and Jared have been, thick as thieves for a long time. I don't even know exactly how long, but well before I've known Jared, obviously. I mean, back in New York, in Wisconsin, now in Florida, and they've gone through a lot of different seasons of life together. And what a rad life, dude. The fight game is so crazy. And
yeah, and you got DDT'd the other day, didn't you?
Bro.
Was that by Jared or Jason?
Yeah, it was by Jared. Dude, let me tell people who watch UFC or anything like that, if you've never trained in your life and you think that you have an inkling of a chance against even the worst person on the UFC roster, let my experience tell you that it is not true. Jared, he's probably, 20 pounds lighter than me. As far as gym stuff goes, I'll probably outlift him in most things. Mm-hmm. He did whatever he wanted to me for an hour straight. Like he would very deliberately and methodically choke me, let me know that he could have done this. He
just shows you your weakness.
Pause, by the way. Yeah, chill.
Dude.
Chill. We're talking about jujitsu.
Yeah, you couldn't have done that. It's nice that you thought that.
But no, I mean, I've never felt so defenseless and vulnerable ever. And that was just one version of it. Like if we were on the feet, he would just do absolutely whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Those dudes are so badass. I have a profound respect for them. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, dude, I get on the ground. Same thing.
Dude, my strength, my whatever that I thought that I had.
It's irrelevant.
Irrelevant. In fact, he used it against me. Yeah.
And there is a spiritual fucking lesson right there.
Yeah. It's so cool, though. He's such a good, I just started doing this stuff with him. It's only been like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And he's such a good coach.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I think he likes doing it. I don't know if he'd like to admit it, but he likes to. He's been enjoying like coaching me up, and he's like low key mad because he's been asking me to do this shit for like 5 years, and I finally just started doing it 2 weeks ago, and I love it. And he's like, dude,
yeah, I know.
It's like a perfect example of what we're talking about. It's like he's been telling me for 5 years that I would love this. It would add value to my life. I would literally told him the opposite. I was like, jiu-jitsu just doesn't add any value to my life. I told him that with confidence, and now I'm like, in it, dude.
I've manipulated time and space.
yeah, exactly. No, it's been cool, bro. And I'm so glad you sat with Strout, and hopefully we can get Jared on here eventually.
Yeah, cool.
He's got a bunch of cool stuff going on, and still fighting the good fight.
Fights are on
in
tonight,
and outside
right?
of the octagon. Yeah,
isn't there a pay-per-view on tonight?
Badass one.
Oliveira and
Holloway.
Yeah,
it's gonna be sick.
Badass, dude.
Yeah, that's such a crazy dude. I don't even know. I'm not built for that.
Yeah, me.
There's no way.
So intention of authenticity, of like seeing it where it is. You mentioned you dropped the word evolve. Mm-hmm. And I find that there's a lot of beliefs, limiting beliefs that I've learned along the way that were really life-saving at one point, but are now a hindrance to my evolution.
It's very important to note that. And I think struggle with that in some ways. I've become rooted in these things that absolutely served me in a way for a long time, or just helped me tremendously. And so I root myself in them, and then it blocks me off when someone's trying to invite a new thought process or methodology or whatever into my life. I'm like, no, not only am I not going to do it, but you're wrong. And now I'm like, not even allowing a discord to go on and completely disrupting what could be a good thing. I do that often.
It's tough, dude. Yeah. Unlearning?
Yeah.
Who unlearns? Like who takes that up as something that they would like to do? You know, it's like we don't give ourselves enough credit sometimes, I think. And that was another thing that was taught, that was like, anytime someone gives you a compliment, and you just learn this stuff passively. Someone, you know, brags on you and you're just like, oh man, thanks. All the glory to God. Like, yep, I'm nothing. I'm a dirty, rotten bug of a sinner, and it's like, bro, I just give you a compliment. Chill out, dude. You know what I'm saying? But what I've learned is, like, I gave you a compliment to start, and you're like, thank you for saying that. And there it is right there. You know, it's that reflection of like, I'm proud of myself, you know, and it's not like in my own capabilities. I'm proud of how God has developed himself in me and through me, and just the awesomeness of me in my life. Like, people out here thinking that you're cocky your whole time. You're just proud of yourself.
Yeah. What a delicate dance that is. Right.
I guess it's a delicate dance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Double D, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's important to say thank you, because, like, it's like you're paying a compliment, right? Mm-hmm. Offering to hopefully make me feel good or acknowledge something within myself, and the thank you hopefully kind of reciprocates that, and then we're able to operate on like the similar frequency, right? And not just be taking or deflective. Mm-hmm. Just receive.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know, man.
Would God want us walking around any other way than looking in the mirror and being like, I'm the best? I don't. Would you? If
you've been finishing with that though, right? What have you been finishing these podcasts with? I'm the best, and so are you.
Yeah, I did that one time. Yeah, but that's the type of shit I've been on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, fuck it, dude. Like, I am. Like, I'm so proud of who I am, what I can do, my talents, my ability. Like, I'm falling in love with the things that make me me.
Right.
And if a little kid were to walk up and be like, dude, guess what? I'd be like, oh, like, what do you like? And he's like, I'm such a good drawer. Look at my big muscles. My t-shirt's awesome. And we'd be like, whoa, dude, those are big muscles.
Yeah.
Like, dap me up. And we would hype him up.
Yep.
But let him turn into 15 years old and be like, you need to chill out, bro. You're an idiot.
Right.
Why? That's the type of shit that I'm talking about. We learn to be like, nah. It's like, well, where's the line? 8 years old, I'm like, he could draw. I'd be like, he'd be like, I just drew a dragon. I'm like, I'm thinking that's a shitty dragon.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell him that. Be like, that's the dopest dragon I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
You know, and somebody else an adult pulls up in a new whip, and we're like, fucking douchebag.
Right.
Whereas a kid hops, look at my new car. That's so sick. Like, oh, he probably thinks he's the shit. No, that's you, bro. That's your shit.
Is that like a learned thing, that negative?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
or is that just like life beating you down?
Yeah, dude, 100%. It's just the hurt talking. It's the voice that I mentioned earlier where I was like, yo, I catch myself hating sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think it can just come out in real time, you know? Someone gets out of their car and it's like, damn, oh, this dude thinks he's the shit. And you're like, you know what? He does. Why are you hating?
Yeah.
Maybe he does. What's it bothering you any?
He might be the shit.
He might actually. You're definitely not. We know that. Because you're talking shit.
That's so true, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But, you know, listen, I think this is like number 3 epi for you.
3 or 4.
3 or 4, yeah.
Let's see. We did the one back in Pompano.
I showed up at your house with the podcast on the move one day.
This is true. Where else have you had setups? This might be 3.
I think this is 3.
Okay.
Yep.
Unless we didn't double dip in Pompano.
Mm-mm. So are you working out of like any gym or anything like that right now?
No. I have a couple clients that I get to work with out of my gym where I stay.
Yeah.
I'm still with the same job that I've had for 5 years as far as with white sands treatment, which has been great. Yeah, like back to, I guess, how we started this whole thing, I've really kind of just tightened up, and I don't overextend myself too much. I've been more just trying to like reciprocate the love, you know, like people who reach out or are intentional with their love and support. I make sure that I try to show up for them and give it back. Spend a lot of time with my dog. I ran a marathon in December.
Dude, I saw that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did you do that?
I mean, I didn't train as long as I should have. But it was that's kind of back to what we were talking about as far as that was one of the things that I invited into my life to try to create a shift of sorts in hopes of becoming better personally or professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't know if it did that.
It did not help.
It did not. It beat me down so bad. And it was
What was the longest you had ever ran prior?
16.
Okay.
And 16 and some change.
All right, so that's good numbers comparatively.
Yeah, but it was okay. So throughout my training, I totally went in. So I ran a half marathon like 6 or 7 years ago off of no training, but it was when I was in like my peak CrossFit days when we were training, you know, 2-3 hours a day.
Right.
I was dialed in. I rolled out of bed and ran a half marathon at a pretty decent pace. This is again 6 or 7 years ago. I thought that based on that experience, that my 38-year-old body that hasn't been running much or definitely not even training at that same stimulus would be able to kind of, maybe just with a little bit of training, be able to complete a marathon. And so I started training like 6 or 8 weeks, maybe 10 weeks before the marathon itself. Mm-hmm. Wasn't following a program of any kind. Was just like, all right, I'm just going to build miles and we're going to send it. Very quickly started to establish a pretty significant like IT band issue that was crippling and like preventing me from running, you know, long distances and stuff like that. And I just thought, all right, I'm just going to foam roll and stretch. That'll work. Started doing that a little bit, helped a little bit, but anytime I would try to go long miles, it would flare back up to the point where like my leg wouldn't even really bend, and I'm just like trying to hobble through these miles. And then I'm like trying to like tap into like some David Goggins type mentality. I'm listening to Alice in Chains, like real dark rock, just trying to like tap in to the darkest parts of myself, dude, to get through this. I'm dead serious, right, bro. Yeah. I swear to you, I was on some of these long runs listening to Alice in Chains, like really tapping into dark energy to try to propel me forward. Long story short, I ended up having to seek some help from a physical therapist and shit like that to try to like unlock. And this was after people had told me repeatedly, like, "Yo, you should go get some acupuncture. Go to our buddy TJ that
get get scraped out,
do some stuff, and you know, seek some professional help. Like you've never done this. You don't have to know how to do this.
Yeah,
go get some help." And I found myself like really resistant until I was like left with no other option.
Interesting.
I was not going to be able to complete this marathon if I didn't seek outside help. Got the help, got me, you know, right enough to where I had some confidence going into the race itself. And I mean, a few variables. I didn't eat enough the day before, didn't sleep well, didn't hydrate very well. And so I didn't set myself.
Just a few key variables.
I didn't set myself up for success very well. And so like around miles, really after, it was 2 laps, 2 13.1 mile laps. I knew I was in trouble when a friend of mine that was only doing the half marathon, I
passed them?
Yeah, like towards the end of the first lap. I was like, well, that is not good. I feel good, but that's probably pointing to something that's not good. And sure enough, as soon as I finished that lap and like slowed down to get some water and another gel thing, like my legs just started to seize up on me. I'm like, okay, like figure it out. Try to like, kept going around mile 16. Just every single part of my legs, but like whack-a-mole, were starting to cramp. First it was my quad, and I would try to like stretch my quad, but then my hamstring would cramp. You know, and I would try to stretch that and my hip flexor would cramp. And I was just like left in this position where I was like, all right, I don't know what I'm going to do. Kept going. Around like mile 18, my freaking hands started to get real tingling and numb. My heart started to race and my vision started to close in on me. So I like stumbled my way into the grass. So in case I like wiped out or like, you know, completely fell out, I didn't crash out on the concrete. I was like, all right, if I'm going to fall out, I'm at least going to fall out on the grass. Got my shit together. I was like, dude, tighten up, dude. I was like, my dad was there.
Better.
Yeah. My dad had, you know, flown out to be supportive. Some other people who
your dad just like, what the fuck?
Well, dude, yeah, I'm like,
I gotta deal with the addiction. Now you suck at this too.
Yeah. I'm like, there's no fucking way that my dad and these other loved ones, people that I love and care about are going to be at the finish line and I'm going to pull up in an ambulance. You know what I mean? Like, it's not happening. I like got my shit together, drank a bunch of water, walked a lot, which I didn't love. Yeah, I mean, I was beating myself up about that a little bit. And, a friend of ours had passed away not long ago. And I tapped in a little bit. Haven't even really talked about it that much, but just asking for help, dude. I was just like, man, I gotta. And it sounds corny or whatever, like in a. I'm just running a race. Like, it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? But for whatever reason, I was at that point of exhaustion, where I was like in a spiritual place and like really wanted to fucking finish. And long story short, was able to thug it out, walked a lot, jogged a little, and got it done. And I gotta tell you, dude, crossing that finish line was sick, super sick. I was very proud. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's just like I'm not a long distance runner. We've always been like CrossFit, lift heavy weights, freaking short, quick bursts.
10-minute piece.
Yeah. And so it was sick, and it was a achievement, or that I'm still pretty proud of. Like, the statistics about like the very small percentage of people that do that kind of stuff are cool, but it was an awesome experience. Don't know if I'll do it again. I'll tell you that. I don't know if I'll do that again. I can't believe it, bro. People that do like ultra marathons or 50, 100 mile stuff.
They must be sick individuals.
I mean, I can, obviously it made me a little bit emotional thinking about how I felt during it. If that happens, then it makes sense to me. Because it was definitely, I was forced into this place where I wasn't really thinking about anything other than what I had going on in that moment. There was like gratitude, but also like desperation. It was like all combined into one, and you just keep putting one foot in front of the other in hopes of finishing. And it was fucking sick.
It's interesting that you went to the hurt.
Yeah.
It's interesting that like in those moments where you're up against it, you went down into the things that you really hadn't been feeling.
Yeah.
In order to make it, which is pretty profound.
Yeah, I didn't expect it.
How'd the IT band do?
Oh, bro.
I had IT band lengthening surgery like 15 years ago.
I felt like I underwent an IT band lengthening surgery in the midst of that run. It was horrible.
Dude, it
was really bad. It felt like it was going to pull my knee completely like off my body.
Yeah.
And there was nothing I could do about it. It was insane. It was like 7 or 8 miles, really like 10 miles of just like pretty excruciating, brutal pain, dude. I was like, dude.
I don't know how you finish, dude. Listen, when I'm in like physical pain like that, I'm like, yeah, we'll wrap it up, dude. I'm good.
I think it was.
You also, I've seen your hurt locker in competitions, and it's just different level.
I don't know. Knowing that there were people at the finish line that I really wanted to get to, I had made this goal no matter how far-fetched it was. I was in it. I just kept going. I just tried. You know what I mean? Like, and there were moments where I was like, when the vision thing was going on, I was like, oh shit, like. But I was kind of down to like go out on my shield a little bit. Like I wasn't gonna like walk off willingly. Yeah. I've done that enough, dude. You know what I mean? It's like I've backed out of shit enough. Like I'll just walk through it, and yes, it would be embarrassing to pull up or have to, have my pops and them come to the hospital or whatever over a marathon. But I was like, dude, I'm just gonna see what happens.
I don't know if you remember this, but years ago, I was doing a memorial workout for one of my dear friends that passed away. And, I reached out to you and the homies, Foz, and it was when I was at CrossFit Deerfield Beach. Mm-hmm. And it was, it's like a 400-meter farmer's carry with 270s into 50 burpees, 6-inch height jump, and then 21 hang cleans. And I was getting worked, obviously. And you had like reached over and you were like, we're in this pocket of hurt for those who can't even hurt anymore. You know, and I'll never forget that. And that gave me that last little bit to like push into, like, remembered why I was even doing it in the first place.
Yeah, it's just freaking.
You have a real powerful radar for just the life of another human, man, and how to be able to like walk next to that, you know, and show the care and concern.
Yeah, I mean, I know you as well as I have lost people, you know, most of which directly to the disease of addiction or alcoholism. And it's just like, man, like, how are we so lucky? You know, it's like, easily could have been me. Easily could be me if I don't do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so I definitely have a certain level of respect for the disease, but like just even more so than that, like gratitude for this life that I get to have.
Yeah.
And I do wish that especially some of the people that we lost, or anybody that's been lost, because of how uncomfortable they were as a result of addiction or mental health, whatever the deal is, that whether it be somebody or something could have flipped the switch like it happened for me or us, all of us, you know. It's like, damn.
And there's like, and you know, I think like along the way, you just kind of stop asking why and just know that it's just a part of the deal. But like, if we're being real, man, like I've been on the troublesome paths in my 10 years that, you know, can really reflect where Austin was.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you look back and you see it, you know, and there's been some tough seasons. Like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, dude. It hurts sometimes. And one thing I've learned, bro, and I think we've done this together in our time, is I think the only saving grace is knowing how to reach out when you're hurting and just hurt next to a friend.
100%. 100%.
And not try to fix you and just hurt with somebody.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's great for the people to hear, because easily could have gotten me out of life-threatening situations, as far as whether it be self-harm or whatever the case may be, and just sounding the alarms and being like, like you said, dude, I couldn't have put it any better. That's just so freaking important.
And listen, man.
Then coupled with action after that, obviously, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, that would be a temporary fix if, when you did that, you didn't couple it with some form of intentional action.
Like, all right, this is how we're going to get out of this now.
Yeah.
I held space with you. But, you know, I think it takes, and one of my goals, and I know this is on your heart too, and just, we need to show other men how to hold space and show emotion and just be with the homie in the hurt, you know? Because, like, there's a lot, I didn't really know how to do that, you know? And a lot of men don't grow up getting shown how to do that,
right?
You know?
100%.
And it's life-threatening.
Yeah.
It's life-threatening, you know?
And some of the, you know, I think a lot of the love that I have for you, or some of is the way that we've shown up for each other in the real deal moments. I've had plenty of people in my life that love to celebrate.
Yeah.
But when shit gets real rocky, like, who's actually around and who's really going to show up at that point? You know, and I've had those experiences over these 10 years, and maybe that's some of the reason as to why my energy expenditure is the way that it is. You know what I mean? I've learned how valuable or delicate it can be, and, you know, I'm trying to, I guess, protect it in some ways. But yeah, man, freaking emotions are fine.
Emotions are fine. I'm grateful to know that, you know, if I texted you or called you and was like, yo, I need you right now.
On the way.
Yeah. And
Straight up.
To have that in your life when you came from a place of, it didn't matter if you were in trouble, there was no one to show up.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, especially I'll speak for myself, like, because I know I have people like you amongst others in my life, there's not really a whole lot that I'm afraid of. It's almost like a cheat code. I almost feel like invincible in that way. It's like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there'll still be discomfort,
I like that.
but what's going to happen? I've already been through some bad stuff.
Yeah,
I made it out, and I'm okay.
There it is. Dude.
And I got some relationships as a result that are, dude, I feel so fortunate. If anything, I'm better off.
Yeah, dude, I couldn't have said it better. It's to go through something, your worst fear type shit, nothing to dull the pain anymore, and come out and you're like, you know what, dude, I'm okay. Everything's okay.
And yeah, like almost laugh, like at, get later down the road, you can like laugh at it, like, man, that sucked.
Yeah.
Damn, that sucked. You remember how bad that sucked? But be able to talk about it in a way to where it's like not even a big deal. When in that moment in time, it was the only fucking deal, dude. You couldn't even think about nothing else.
But it built a man of faith.
Right.
That goes, I'm not even really scared of much, like, because I know it's going to be all right. And if we didn't go through those seasons, would we have that type of profound faith?
No.
Right.
No, there's plenty of people in this world that can go through their whole life bound by fear. And what a shame, dude.
It was me for a long time.
Same. And again, I feel like sometimes we may speak in such a way as if it's like doesn't happen anymore.
Right.
It still happens.
Right.
It still happens, Shadow.
Yeah.
Whether you give a crap or not.
Shadow kind of went at you the first pod, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you
He's
guys
savage.
are on good relations.
He's
Speaking of the savagery, I found a dead baby bunny just earlier today from Shadow. Savage. So she's licking her chops right now, wants to go out.
Yeah.
Just ready for another hunt. Baby bunny, dude. It might have been a squirrel, but I had to pick it up, feel the body. There you go.
Don't act like you don't want to go out there.
Cool, I'll just pick up the other dead animal, whatever you need to do.
Shadow's the
But
best.
I'm grateful for you, man. I'm excited that you're here, back behind the mic. Here's to many more. You look great. You look fucking jacked in your photo. I don't know if you can tell, but I haven't worked out in like 2 months.
No, I can't tell at all.
And I needed it. It was like my body it's still in pain. I've overshot the mark. I need to go back into working out. But yeah, man, you look great, dude. It's always all love when I get to see you and hang and talk.
Likewise, dude. I usually am try to chirp you like, hey, why haven't you dropped an episode? It's usually because, I think you did an episode on it and glossed over it briefly as far as some of the work that you've done. And that's another thing. Before we close, I wanted to say, like, all the stuff that you talk about is stuff that you're doing in your life. It's not like stuff that you just woke up one day and decided to talk about and don't have any background with or haven't done any work towards. You set time aside to educate yourself or get broken down and built back up again, whatever the case is, 'cause I know it isn't always easy. And I just want to acknowledge that, dude, because, like,
thank you.
Whether it be the 12-week course that you're in the midst of, or, in the midst of a 12-week course, but you go out to California to do some vulnerable, super intentional work, like, that's badass, dude. You know what I mean? That's real shit. And it's like, I admire it. And I think I don't know if it's just because I enjoy you and your podcast so much, but I think it's really been coming out, and what you've been talking about has been resonating with me big time and adds tremendous value. So thank you.
That means the world, bro. Don't make me cry before.
My man. Love you, dude. Yes, sir.
Yeah.